Hello, everybody. You're on the mic. And on today's episode, we're going to continue our coverage of the interview between, of course, Crumb, aka Chrysidia Holmes, Mr. Hop, um, Ron Toye, and the therapist, Ken Jennings. Um, again, you know, as I pointed out yesterday, we were seeing that it doesn't seem like Ron seemed to have too much of a filter. It was also indicated that he may have been he was seemingly drinking something during this time, possibly alcohol, which is going to play into this as we move on, as we move into this third part. Um, Again, basing this off of Come Geek Some's coverage of it and stuff like that. I was watching his video on it and then was making mental notes and stuff like that. So initially they were letting Ron continue to kind of just ramble on, let him like speak and stuff like that. I think earlier on, one of the points that was kind of brought up was it was brought up with Mr. Hop was who was it who at first was saying, well, if Vic apologized and got some help, then we'd kind of forgive him, and and Ron like that just, oh, that was Monica. That was Monica who said that. Like some people would argue that was kind of like him throwing her under the bus. Ron's been coming out trying to make him look himself look like the good guy here. One of the other things I noticed, and I could see on the face, and many people could see on the facial expressions of Chrysidia and Mr. Hobb, Crumb and Mr. Hobb, kind of the press X to doubt or press F to doubt face of Ron, the way he was trying to make it. He was the one who was trying to say, "Oh, I was the one trying to contact Vic to where we could talk this out and stuff like that." But as everybody knows, Vic was the one who reached out to Monica asking him what was wrong and stuff. And a lot of this stuff, of course, stems from what Hanlea originally said, which has since been proven to be false. You know, again, not to rehash a lot of old details that have already been talked about and stuff like that, but many of us know at least a lot. But one of the things I was noticing throughout all this, of course, Ron was definitely becoming more agitated as time was going on. Part of it may have been whatever he was drinking, but also, I mean, even Come Geeks him at one point said, "Hey, Ron, stop rocking." He even was noticing Ron was rocking. Now, Ron has acknowledged that he has ADHD. Let me just kind of let people know a little bit, because I myself, of course, have autism as well. There are certain behaviors, you know, stress, what some people might call them stress relievers, what have you. The term for them is STEM behaviors. Okay, these are behaviors that some people will exhibit to kind of help them handle like stress or relieve stress. Some people will, like, I'm also some Ron was displaying this. I'm another one who will sit there and rock back and forth. Some people may like fiddle their hands around. You know, some people, just these little innocuous little movements that um, that help us kind of deal with the stimuli around us or help us work through whatever stressors are. Now, this should go without saying. This should be pretty obvious, but obviously the intensity and frequency of the STEM behaviors will increase the more person's stressed. So we can, tell by Ron's body language there that he was getting some more stress. He was starting to, maybe in his own mindset, he was starting to lose control of the situation because, you know, and we saw this like towards the latter half of this portion of the video when when we started talking about the idea of why Vic was suing, and and the point being made about how, yeah, there were all these whispers and rumors over the years, but up until this past year and a half, it never caused Vic any damage. Because Ron was saying, well, yeah, he didn't really do anything, like, even I said that he didn't really rape anybody or anything like that. But, but in a civil case, that's not necessarily, not let necessarily, Ron even acknowledged that, yeah, they were, quote unquote, they weren't necessarily looking for a conviction, albeit there are many people on Kick Vic who are treating it as if it was a conviction or well, okay, they were looking at it as if it was a conviction, even though it wasn't really a criminal case. Okay, I think the more accurate term for it would be validation. A validation you know of the fact of what they were saying. Now there was also a point in time when Ken kind of probed into Ron's kind of back and forth with Nick, if you want to call it a relationship or whatever. You know, in terms of this case, when I say relationship, I mean in terms of how they're relating to each other, how they're interacting with each other. Okay. Um, so as I was saying though, they were probing into, Ken was starting to probe, the therapist was starting to probe into Ron's interactions with Nick, and Ron was indicating how how he just kind of his whole mantra throughout this whole thing is that, Vic was being taken advantage of by by Nick and Ty, and how how Nick isn't being professional, or how he shouldn't be speaking from the position of an authority figure, you know, um, but but then later, towards the end of this particular segment of the interview, Ken started to probe a little bit into, well, we started to get more to the point of the idea of, why Vic was suing in the first place, and the whole idea, Ron kept trying to justify, well, the the rumors and stuff, the rumors and accusations and whispers had been there for years. They'd been there for years. You know, it would never amounted to anything criminal or anything, but you know, but but that wasn't really the point. The point was that what Ron and Monica and many people in Kick Vic said, that's what caused the damage. And even bringing up, I think at one point they did start to bring up the the text messages with between Ron and Chris Slatosh, over Ron threatening, well, if you didn't get rid of Vic, then we were going to pull our support from your con. And I think that was one of the big turning points. That was one of the big turning points when Ron started. Ron, you could start to see that Ron was starting to lose his cool now, because now it's like he was trying to really defend that. And then I'll get into something in a moment here. As I was saying, now getting to the point towards the end of end of this particular segment, where you can see Ron visibly starting to lose his cool, as they were now, and again, Crumb, Mr. Hop, and Ken were masterful. They handled this masterfully. You know, um, as they were delving more into the idea of what actually did the damage. What, the fact that Vic lost work, the fact that, you know, conventions canceled on him. In fact, I think Ron really lost it a little bit when, when they were talking about, trying to remember now. Okay, I can't remember. I had it for a moment there, but basically, the very end of the segment was, and I would applaud Come Geekdom for this. That was a good way, because he has up to 30 minutes of tape time, basically 29:59. He ended up at this point because the last thing he covered before he went back to his own screen and stuff was Ron starting to go. At one point, you had Ron going, "Yeah, I want to get that motherfucker." Yeah, we have Texas. We have one party consent, so, or, to phone conversations. So we have these phone conversations that, we're gonna get that motherfucker. I hope that the appeals go through, because we got him with this we got this mother. Now, with just that, it's not clear yet as to who the MFer he's referring to. I think the most likely person he's talking about is Vic, because in terms of, well, they have phone recordings between, I guess, Monica and Vic, and I think that's what he was getting at. Um, um, Suggesting that he has stuff that might be damaging, even more damaging for Vic, but I would think that with that, though, if that was the case, Vic would already have known that. Ron keeps saying, "Well, we knew this was coming, and I knew the stuff with my divorce would come out, so that's why we want." Even though we know that they were afraid, we know. I mean, Jamie sat there and dodged her process server. They were trying, but you know, but basically at the very end there, Ron was really going off. Um, and I think the next segment of Come Geeksum's coverage of it's gonna really be enlightening. Um, so we'll just have to wait and see. So that's as much as I can say about all this. So let's move on to something. Let's move on to something a little bit more positive here. So today is June the 11th, 2020. So let's look at what happened on this day in history. So on this date in 1993, um, the second, the four episode, the second OVA, the second OVA, consisting. Okay, all right. I had to, on this date in 1993, the second OVA of Ushio and Tora, consisting of four episodes, was released on this day. It was the second of three OVAs that was released. Um, that was released. So on this day, in 1993, the second OVA series, second Ushio and Tora OVA series of four episodes was released on this date. So now moving on to the next thing. On this date in 2000, WCW would hold its final um, Great American Bash, pay-per-view. This was, of course, during the height of the New Blood versus Millionaires Club saga, as WCW was trying to rebuild itself. In the main event, Jeff Jarrett would retain the WCW World Heavyweight Championship with Goldberg in his corner, with Ernest the Cat Miller as special guest referee, defeating Kevin Nash. Um, Hulk Hogan would defeat Billy Kidman in a number one contenders match for the WCW World Title match, and Ric Flair would defeat his son David Flair. And in the cases of Hogan and Flair, had they lost their matches, they would have been forced to retire. Also on the card, Shane Douglas had defeated The Wall in a best of 5 tables match, in which it was set up basically like a best of 5 falls, but in order to score a fall, you had to put somebody through a table. So Shane Douglas would actually put The Wall through 3 tables during the match. In a battle, of course, of brothers, Scott Steiner defeated Rick Steiner, as well as Tank Abbott wasn't their brother, but in a handicap asylum match. G.I. Bro, a.k.a. Booker T, defeated Shawn Stasiak in a boot camp match. And in the opening match of the night, I believe this was Mike Awesome defeated Diamond Dallas Page in an ambulance match. Chronic defeated the Mamalukes, and in the opening match of the night, Lieutenant Loco retained the WCW Cruiserweight Championship by defeating Disco Inferno. So, and also another key match during the night was Vampiro defeating Sting in a Human Torch match. WCW's answer to the Inferno match, basically. Yeah. So that happened on this date on this date in 2000 was the final event of the final Great American Bash event that was produced by WCW. Hey, hold on a sec. I just screwed up again. All right, I accidentally closed something that I didn't want to close as of yet. Um, in particular, beginning, I kind of remembered what it was. Right up there. There it is. Okay. On this date in 2003, um, through their Marvel Knights imprint, Marvel Comics released on the newsstands the Volume 2, the 55th issue of Volume 2 of the Incredible Hulk. On this day, this is the first part of the Hide in Plain Sight storyline. So on this date in 2003, um, the Volume 2, the 55th issue of Volume 2 of The Incredible Hulk was released on the newsstand by Marvel Comics through their Marvel Knights imprint. And finally, on this date in 2012, the regular episodes of the High Fructose Adventures of Annoying Orange started airing on this date in 2012. The regular airing schedule started on this date for these episodes. After having debuted on May the 28th, 2012, this would mark the day that that a high fructose adventures of annoying orange would would regularly be airing. Now, with that all being said, now of course, you can check the links below if you'd like to contact me directly. You can direct message me through my Discord. You can check out the Discord and join if you'd like. Um, Also, I'm still promoting a bunch of different dub companies, as Funimation is not the only game out there. There's other companies you can check out. A lot of great enemies to check out. Also, I'm still promoting Vic's GoFundMe as well as the Indiegogo of that Umbrella guy and his daughter, Little Umbrella Girl. So always, guys, never feel like you have to donate. If it's on your heart to do so and you have the means to do so, please consider donating. If you've already donated, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, you can still help out the cause by sharing the link. Sharing is caring. You never know. Maybe somebody, your circle of friends, may decide they want to, help out. You never know. It doesn't hurt to ask. And if you like this content, I ask that you please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I always look forward to the conversations with you guys as long as they're civil and respectful. Um, Also, as long as they're civil and respectful. And don't forget this tomorrow will be the next Voices Big and Small premiere. This week I am doing Trevor Duvall. So hopefully you guys will come out and check that out. And until tomorrow, I will see you guys then. Bye.